Hey guys, today I'm making a video inspired by a Reddit post which was things you wish you had known before. So I'll talk about and show you guys things that you might have not known about, or there's simple micro or macro tricks you can do in the game. So let's start with the first one. Okay, so the first thing you might not have known, even if you have SCV like this just wandering around your base, if you tell it to build something and then click C, after he's done building, he will go back to the mineral line and continue mining, even though he wasn't pulled from the mineral line itself. So basically, anytime that you have an SCV that has minerals in his hand, you can just click C and it will return the cargo to the closest command center and then start mining from the closest mineral patch. The same thing works with gas. So if you have SCV with the gas in his hand, if you just click C, he will go back, return the gas, and go back to the refinery. Number two, if you hover your mouse over the supply in the top right, you can see how many workers you have and how much army supply you have at the moment, and this works with every single race. Number three, units are affected by pathing even if you didn't scout the buildings. For example, this ramp is walled off by 3 pylons. If I click my SCV to scout and if I click into his main base, this is what will happen. The SCV will go. It depends on from map to map where the SCV will bug out on, but it will never go up the ramp. So what it's doing is, even though you didn't scout, it doesn't go up the ramp because this pathing is blocked, again, even though you didn't scout the buildings. On some maps, if you send your SCV, it will maybe get stuck here, and so on. But yeah, just to show you, I go up the ramp and there are 3 pylons. Even if you click again after scouting, if you click the SCV to go into the middle, it will still not go up the ramp, but it will go to some weird spot. If you do want it to go up the ramp, you can just Shift Q here and then into the main base, and what that will do is at least show you the ramp and see what's going on there. Number 4, if your research building is killed while you're upgrading, you don't need to cancel, you will get your money back. As I'll show you here, the upgrade is going, I won't click anything, and you'll see my mineral and gas count coming back to me. Now, another thing, this is different with producing buildings. If your building gets destroyed, you don't get any money back. So you'll see I have 1.9k minerals. The CC gets killed, I don't get any money back. But if you cancel your building while it's producing, you will get 75% back. As you can see, I got plus 300 minerals, and this works same for all races and all upgrades. So if an upgrade gets killed, you get your money back. If a building gets killed, you don't get your money back. Same goes with units. If you're producing units and a barracks gets killed while there's Marines queued, you will get your money back. And that's it. Number 5, the mineral patches closest to your command center have 1,500 minerals. Meanwhile, the ones in the back have 900. Because of this, when you start mining a new base or even at the beginning of the game, you want to try to stack your SCVs to the closest mineral patch, because first, it will give you more income that way, and second of all, you will be mining your base out more evenly, because what happens is if you put your SCVs to the back mineral patches, well, number 1, you're gonna get less income because it's farther away, and number 2 is you will mine them out quicker because there's 600 minerals less on them, and then your base will not be mining as efficiently, meaning that you will be mining normally for about 10 minutes, and then your income will literally go in half on that base, and then you will have a lot of SCVs that are basically not doing anything. Same goes with muling. If you're a Terran player, I suggest you mule, let me just get some more mules. Mule this base mineral patch first, then when that one expires, try to mule the next one, and the next one. So that way your whole mineral base gets mined out evenly and most efficiently. the same time. If you have more than one control group, what you can do is left clicking on the bottom side on a marine or a tank will just select the one unit. So if I left click on this tank, I will just select that siege tank. Now if you hold control and then you click on a siege tank, any siege tank, it will take all the siege tanks out of the group. If you take for example, left click on marine while holding control, you will just be moving the marines or selecting the marines. Now, another thing you can do is you can remove certain units from the control group. So let's say I accidentally picked some SCVs in my control group. So what you need to do is you hold control, shift, and then left click on the SCV. So what that will do is it will take out all the SCVs from that control group. And then you can re-keybind your units and keep moving. So every time you accidentally, let's say you're in your main base and you have some units here like I do right now, if you select everything instead of clicking on specific unit or maybe selecting like a small box, what you can do in order to select your units faster, you can select everything and then just control, shift, hold control shift at the same time and then left click on the SCVs. It will get them out of the group and you can move whichever unit is in your main. Number 7, StarGate is the only building in the game that shows you what it's making. So for example, you can see the StarGate and you can see the Phoenix inside of it being made right now. Same thing goes for every unit. This is an Oracle and you can see by the shape of it. And this works for Tempest, Carriers, Void Rays. Here you can see Void Ray in the making. So every time you scout a Protoss or he's proxying you with the StarGate or anything like that, you can always just zoom in and just check what shape is in the making and you will know what he's going for. Number 8. All the structures in the game have an animation when they're upgrading. I'll show you this. This works for every race. So you can see the Protoss buildings. This is how they look when they're not upgrading anything. And you'll see when they start upgrades, they all have their own animation. Templar Archives starts blinking that it's researching Storm, if you can see these glimmers. Twilight has these beams going up constantly. You cannot know what upgrade it is. You can't know if it's Charge, Blink, or Glaive, but you do know that something is being researched. And then on Forge you can see once again that the lights are going off, the Forge is working, and you can see by that if the Protoss player is researching something. This works for Zerg as well. Just pay attention to the Zerg units and you'll be able to notice the difference pretty quickly. Now I'll show it as well in this video for Terran units. If you start researching Cloak, you'll see how the Ghost Academy is now. If you start researching Cloak, there's a light on top and it starts like pumping up and down. Armory looks like this. If you start an upgrade, the middle starts spinning, so it's researching something. And then the engineering bay, you'll see there's a light here that will turn red and it will be beeping constantly. Now the reason why I'm telling you guys about this is sometimes when you drop an opponent, for example against a Protoss, and you see Twilight upgrading, or even in mirror match against another Terran, if you see Engineering Bay blinking, you can choose to snipe that and deny them the upgrade, while, you know, if there's nothing upgrading, well, there's no reason for you to prioritize that. Number 9. I often get this question on my stream, which is how do you medevac drop while moving? We all know that if you just press D, click on the ground, it will drop units. But people are often confused, how do you do it while moving? Well, all you need to do is press D and then click individually on the medevac and units will drop as you're moving. If you want to stop that, all you need to do is click S. So click D, they're dropping. If let's say mutants come, you just press S and they stop unloading. Number 10. So a lot of the times if you play Terran, what happened to you is you moved your units across the map and the medevacs were running above cliffs and then were picked off by Phoenix, Mutas, or Vikings. in order to prevent that, you can set your medevacs to follow your units. Now, there's no follow action in the bottom right of the screen. And if you right-click your units, it will just pick them up. So the way you to make your medevacs follow your units is you select only medevacs and then a move onto the marine. And what that will do is, since medevacs cannot attack, they will be following the marines. Number 11. You can shift queue a lot of the unit movements. For example, you can hold shift, click A, and then click on the right side. What that will happen is the units will be attack moving to that point and then continue to attack moving to the other point you shift clicked. You can also tell the units to move to a certain spot, holding shift and then pressing shift T for them to stem and then move this way. So the moment they arrive, they're going to stem and keep moving forward. You can do this pretty much with every unit in StarCraft, whether you're a Terran, Protoss, or Zerg. For example, you can send Liberators here, shift Q them, and then shift E twice because there's two Liberators. And what that will do is they will go here, move upwards, and then both of them will siege up behind the mineral line. And that's one thing that you should do in your games, because you don't want to send Liberators, then wait for them to arrive and then click, when you can just send them all the way down and shift E, sorry, for them to siege up. You can do this with missile ravens as well, with auto turrets. So you can just shift click and then after on shift click away, so they move away once they do the turret placements. You can do this pretty often in TVZ and TVP, so you shift behind the mineral line and then you tell the Raven to move all the way back. And this will basically help you with effective APM in game, because sometimes you cannot pay attention to your units all the time, and shift queuing is something that a lot of pro players do, and I suggest you guys to do it as well. Number 12, zooming in and out can help you see the invisible units. Now, your units won't actually detect them, but you will be able to see where they are, and you will be able to scan and kill them, or if you're Zerg, spam Ravager Biles, and so on. So I'll show you how this works. Obviously, every invisible unit that moves in the game, you can see the shimmer moving. And for example, there's an observer right here. If I zoom in and out, I'm not sure if you guys can see it properly, but if I zoom in and out, you can see the shimmer moving. So by doing this, you are basically quote-unquote moving the unit, because moving invisible unit is a lot easier to see. So as you're moving across the map, for example in TVP, what you want to do is every once in a while zoom in and you will see that shimmer. You can scan and kill the observer. Now this is a lot easier to spot if the invisible unit is moving already, which is why a lot of Protoss players put their observers on just to stand. If you can see the observer right here, it's moving, and because it's moving, it's shimmering, and it's a lot easier to recognize. And this also works for DTs. You can zoom, if the DT is standing, you can zoom in and out to check where it is, or if it's just moving, you'll be able to spot the DT a lot easier. This comes with practice, so the more you play, you will be zooming in and out as you move out on kind of quote-unquote obvious locations. For example, if you want to drop the main base, the observer would probably be either here or here. So if you decide to drop and he defends it perfectly, well, what you want to do is probably like re-drop on the outside, scan, or first do zoom in and out, check if there is an observer, and if you see one, scan. Number 13, burrowed units have trails behind them. So even though you can't shoot at the units, you can see their trails, and I'll show you guys this. You just saw the roaches burrow, and you can see, if I zoom in, you can see a little bit of black trails underground. So even though I don't have a scanner, I can see where the roaches are moving. I'll take one marine and I'll move around with it. The roaches are, oh, they're going backwards, and they're right there. So even though you don't see, if you pay attention carefully, if you know there's burrowed roaches or infestors on the map, just check the ground and see if it's like shimmering with this kind of black color, and you can scan and kill them, as I'll do now. Boom. So yeah, burrowed units, you can see them. It's very hard, it's a lot harder than DTs, but it still is possible. Number 14, unit upgrades are showing. Some of the units in game you can see visually when they're upgraded and when they're not, whether it's through their weapons or just the design of the unit itself. So for example, let's start with the Marines. I'll go through every unit in the game that has a difference in their looks or by the way they shoot. I won't be going through the units that have different movement speeds. For example, Zealots, when they have Zealot upgrade, they move faster and you can see that, but it's not, you know, they don't look any different and they don't leave trail behind them or anything like that. So let's start with the Marines. Marines on the left side will always be unupgraded, or units on the left side. The right side will be the ones with upgrades. So for example, Marines, once you get combat shields, there's a little shield that they're wearing after that, and until you get that, they will be, you know, looking like these ones on the left side. Now moving on to the Hellions. If you look at Hellions, there's no difference in the look, but once the Hellions start attacking each other, you will see that the right side has blue flame and the one on the left has normal red flame. The blue flame is obviously the infernal pre-igniter, so that's the visual effect that Hellions get. And then the last unit from Terrans that change visually is actually Battlecruiser, and I'm not sure how many people actually know this because I didn't know about this till recently. So once you upgrade Yamato Cannon on the Battlecruiser, you can see first difference is here in the middle there's this light that's constantly flashing, while on the left one there's absolutely nothing in the middle. Another difference is on the front of the Battlecruiser, once you upgrade Yamato Cannon, this opens up the front side because the Yamato Cannon shoots from there, and the left side, as you can see, it's still closed. So if you ever reach endgame situations, you can see that way if your opponent has Yamato cannons or not. The Protoss units actually have no visual changes in any of them. So I will move on to the Zerg units. Zerglings, when they don't have Zergling speed, look like this. They don't really have anything on top, but once they have Zergling speed, they have these little wings that you can recognize if the opponent has Zergling movement speed or not. Moving on to the Banelings, if they're standing, you won't be able to see if they're upgraded or not, but once the Banelings move, if they're kind of like walking like this, that means that they don't have centrifugal hooks upgraded. But if they're rolling, that means that the speed upgrade for Banelings is done. Moving on to the Roaches. Roaches, once they get upgraded, they get these little spikes on the back. Now, the Roaches, even without an upgrade, they have spikes on the backs, but once you upgrade the tunneling claws, the spikes get colored, whichever color you're playing in. So for example, if I would upgrade these Roaches, which I'll do now, these spikes will turn red. And when you see those spikes being colored, that means that the opponent has tunneling claws and Roaches can burrow underground and move. So I'll just show you guys really quick. If I get tunneling claws, the spikes get turned to red. And as far as the visual effects goes, once again, the Protoss units have no difference in their units once you upgrade them, unlike the Terran and Zerg units. Number 15, mineral walking workers. So there's a trick in game called mineral walking. Basically what it does is it allows your SCV or drone or probe to walk through units as long as you click on a mineral patch while you're moving. So you'll see I'll do a round around Nexus. When I try to walk around, the probe pathing will block my SCV as it's going, as you'll see here. So you can see it's going around the probes. But the second time, if the Protoss tries to attack you, you can mineral walk by clicking on the mineral patch, and you will walk through all the probes, and then you can just run away from it. This also works on units. If someone is blocking pathing, you can select your workers. It doesn't matter if it's 1, 2, or 10, and you just click on a mineral patch and you will be mineral walking and going through those. Number 16, hallucinations and how they work in a game when you play against Protoss. So if the Protoss hallucinates units and A moves, your units will attack whatever is closest. But if you scan, your units will ignore the hallucinations and will go straight for the sentries. Now, I'll show that in another example. If you have a missile turret as a detector, and Protoss hallucinates units, if he attacks into you, I'm going to just A move my units. I won't be target firing. Because I have detection and the AI sees that these are hallucinations, then if I A move, it will ignore hallucinations the moment it sees real units, quote unquote, and you can see they're shooting at the sentries and completely ignoring the Archons. Once again, if I didn't have a detection or if I didn't have scan available, then the siege tanks or marines or whatever would attack the hallucinations first and not pay attention to the real units, because obviously you need to scan. I'll kill these missile turrets hopefully in time. You can see that these Archons are now real, and if there were more units behind them, they would go for the Archons, because once again you don't see what's hallucinated and what's not. I want to thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the 16 things you wish you knew earlier in StarCraft 2. If you did like the video, make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.